General Mark Milley confirmed the phone calls took place in a Wednesday statement via his spokesman Colonel Dave Butler. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin also expressed his support. Pentagon spokesman John Kirby said in a briefing on Wednesday former State Secretary Mike Pompeo said Milley's conduct could be treasonous. President Joe Biden meanwhile said he has great confidence in Milley after he admitted to holding calls with his Chinese counterpart working under Trump. Former Acting Defense Secretary Miller urged Milley to resign after he allegedly made an unauthorized call to China behind the former president's back. Former President Donald Trump tore into Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman Mark Milley and President Joe Biden on Wednesday night after the commander-in-chief staunchly defended the embattled general from accusations he broke the chain of command with his calls to Chinese officials. He accused Biden of covering for Milley because of dirty secrets the general may know about Biden's chaotic Afghanistan withdrawal. Milley never told me about calls being made to China. From what I understand, he didn't tell too many other people either, the statement began. On Wednesday, Milley admitted to making 2 calls to his Chinese counterpart, both before the election and in January, after claims he went behind Trump's back for fear of rogue action the then-president may take. He put our country in a very dangerous position, but President Xi knows better, and would have called me, Trump continued. The way Milley and the Biden administration handled the Afghanistan withdrawal, perhaps the most embarrassing moment in our country's history, would not exactly instill fear in China. The only reason Biden will not fire or court-martial Milley is because he doesn't want him spilling the dirty secrets on Biden's deadly disaster in Afghanistan, he said. Trump appointed Milley to lead the Joint Chiefs in 2018 and he took over the role in 2019. In a similar statement Tuesday night, the ex-president called Milley a dumba and again blamed him for the crisis in Afghanistan. Actions should be taken immediately against Milley, and better generals in our military, of which we have many, should get involved so that another Afghanistan disaster never happens again, Trump said in the previous statement. Remember, I was the one who took out 100% of the ISIS Caliphate. Milley said it couldn't be done. He added, for the record, I never even thought of attacking China, and China knows that. The people that fabricated the story are sick and demented, and the people who print it are just as bad. Trump's acting defense secretary Chris Miller has also called for General Mark Milley to resign. Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, has been branded a danger to the country who secretly collaborated with our greatest military rival by Tucker Carlson, who went on to rail against Biden's endorsement of the disgraced general. In Washington, colluding with the Chinese government is not considered a sin, it's not even weird, he said. Miller, who led the Pentagon when Milley made the call in January, said he did not and would not ever authorize the general to have the secret calls and urged him to resign from his post. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff is the highest-ranking military officer whose sole role is providing military-specific advice to the president, and by law is prohibited from exercising executive authority to command forces, Miller told Fox News. Meanwhile, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki reaffirmed the administration's support for Milley, lauding him as a patriot and urged people to remember Trump's final 2 months in office. The outgoing President of the United States, during this period of time, fomented unrest leading to an insurrection and an attack on our nation's capital on January 6, she said, adding that it was one of the darkest days in our nation's history. She added, there was broad concern from a range of members of his national security team about his behavior and fitness for office. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo also weighed in, saying that if the call did take place then China could use it to their advantage, and described Milley's decision to make an unauthorized call to Chinese generals as treasonous. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden declared he has great confidence in Milley after the embattled military man admitted to making the unauthorized call on Wednesday without the knowledge of the Pentagon chief or President Trump. "I have great confidence in General Milley," Biden said to reporters on Wednesday afternoon. Yesterday, Tucker Carlson highlighted Milley's recent favorable comments about China, and questioned whether the general was fit to occupy his position. Milley thinks China is winning, and so he's sucking up to his new masters, so he tells us, Russia's the only country on earth that has the capacity to destroy the United States. That's absurd. Nobody believes that. The Chinese military is far, far more powerful than anything Vladimir Putin controls. It's not even close. Milley knows that. He's lying about it. Carlson continued, "Whoa, we don't want to jump to conclusions yet." Really? What conclusions? How much more evidence do you need exactly? And why does no one in Washington consider this a crisis? The leadership of the Pentagon, some of them, anyway, constitute a threat to the United States. Miller meanwhile pointed out that the chain of command goes from the president to defense chief, not through Milley's position. His former chief of staff Kash Patel told Fox, "The law governing the Joint Chiefs of Staff specifically forbids the chairman from exercising any operational command authority."